Welcome to another episode of the State of the Bulldogs post-game show with Tay, Barry. It's Tay, Grant, and I tonight. And 2 weeks down and still not a win for the Samford Bulldogs as we dropped the latest game to Florida, unsurprisingly, in the Swamp. Boys, let's just start with game day atmosphere. Scale of 1 to 10, what are we going to give the Gators?
Good question.
I'm going with the 8. Solid 8.
Yeah.
I'd give it I'll say 8. But
yeah, I like that.
The light show that then like going to the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's sick. Yeah.
That was pretty lit. That was pretty
yeah.
It was pretty nice. I like that. And I recorded all of it, so
yeah, same. Yeah.
It's pretty neat to see it actually go on at nighttime. Last time I was there, it wasn't nighttime, it was daytime.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I think the night the fact that the game was at night certainly helped that the feeling. I mean, 8 out of 10 is pretty good. SEC wise, it's got to be up there. And for the night game, we got to see the light show. We got to see a full day of tailgating. Grant, what are you thinking?
Then it was cloudy all day too. Like didn't have to involve the sun at all. It was kind of perfect weather down there. I'll give it a 9. I really liked it a lot. The crowd was a lot. It was funny. We were standing on the sideline. Even the students, the first row, were talking to us. We're standing there with their little trash talk wherever. It was kind of fun. A cool little atmosphere just hearing them talk to us like that. But yeah, it was kind of weird. Tay, you played in that game last time we were down here. Then you got to be down here as a fan this time around. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was different. I know. I mean, I knew going to that game that the student section was like that.
Yeah.
And because last time we played there, the student section was breathing down our neck, and it's just actually getting. But this time it was a little different because it was they was what do y'all do? And we were we're actually alumni, so
yeah,
leave us alone. So there was just, but the police was don't provoke them. Yeah, dude. He's they'll do anything that you tell them to do. He was just leave them alone.
Yeah.
But that atmosphere is always a nice one, and to see the crowd. They had a pretty nice crowd, and just to see, especially the way that I didn't think they was going to rally behind DJ like that, and they rallied. Yeah,
that was DJ. Cool.
They rallied behind DJ Lagway, and I don't know if y'all caught it, but when he threw one of the deep passes going towards their band.
Yeah.
The song that they played, Go DJ.
Yeah.
That's my DJ. I was no way.
Yeah, I heard that.
I didn't catch that. I didn't.
No, they played Go DJ. That's my DJ. And I'm all right, this guy's probably going to take over.
So the band played it, then they play. Yeah, the band played it, then they played it over the stadium, a loudspeaker after one of the touchdowns. It's yeah, that's pretty sweet. Yeah, pretty sick.
Yeah, it was pretty sick. It was pretty sick with that.
Yeah, he seemed to. He certainly energized the crowd. He's the hope. For the future of Gator football, it looks like. And he was exciting to watch. Almost a little too exciting, but...
He's huge.
Yes.
He's still not the biggest quarterback I've seen Florida have. When we played them, Emory was pretty big. But
Emory was big.
When they took Emory out and put Anthony in, I was who is this in the backfield? Because he came in and then you're this is a quarterback or this is their star defensive end playing quarterback.
He looks big in the NFL. I mean, that dude's just different.
Yeah, he had a sick throw today too. Yeah, off 1 foot, 65 yards in the air today.
Yeah, he was
their game.
He's I know he's 6'4", 6'5", 250 pounds playing quarterback. They can run like a deer. So he was legit.
You could certainly see how the mystique of the Swamp was built. I mean, when you got athletes like that rolling in and rolling out, I mean, sure, the AR years weren't necessarily anything special. But yeah, you kind of have to go all the way back to Tim Tebow for a good season. But it was wild to see DJ break the record set in 2005 or 2004 by Chris Leak for freshman passing. That was
what did he throw for?
Well, the record was only 250, 240 some odd yards, and he ended up throwing for over 400. So he set the record and then some.
Yeah.
Or broke the record and then some. But yeah, DJ, he looked good. So guys, let's just get to the game. Let's start with good. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Obviously, it's an SEC opponent, so we are not expecting too much when you're in max protect the entire time and on defense just trying to survive. But I think there were quite a few things that we saw, especially coming off the West Georgia loss. So, Tay, we'll start with you, man. Let's start with the good.
I would say a good from the game is that it wasn't like, I mean, in those games you come in, you think like the first quarter, those teams would jump out on you.
Mm-hmm.
The defense actually looked pretty good, and we had a few key stops on the defense. So that's one thing that I would say that was a good for like the defense. Didn't they actually showed up to come and play?
Yeah,
against an SEC opponent. I mean, they do. Those guys are bigger in the trenches for sure than the guys that we have in the trenches. But still, it's just that's one thing that I'd say it was a good. And then also our offense. I know we had some clicky moments that was definitely a good that I would say was the good. And it just in these games, you try to look at like small things. You really can't say that all right, this player was stood out. I mean, it had to be a team effort for it to be so good in this. So.
Grant?
Yeah, just like Tate talked about, the defense stepping up early. This game can get games like this and get ahead of you pretty quick, and you lose all momentum. It's like, oh gosh, we're already down 28 after first quarter, like other teams playing these type of games in the first few weeks did. It was good seeing the defense respond early, get that stop on fourth down, and then you get the fumble, you recover in the end zone because Florida could have gone up 14-0 quick. It's like, oh gosh, we need to push the ball down the field. So it was good seeing this defense respond early because you knew they were going to wear down the second half just because of the athlete difference, right? So it was good seeing them respond that way like they did early on in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, we fumbled on the first possession and we didn't give up a touchdown. That's a nice bright spot, right? That the defense can certainly build upon. And the 4th and 1 stop, no one in the stadium was shocked. I mean, I'm sitting next to this guy, and I can just see the visible disbelief in their offensive line's inability to move ours off the line, and then us swarming the ball. It wasn't even close to being converted. So that was I'm with y'all. That was the bright spot. The defense in the first half, unbelievable. Pretty lucky to get that turnover in the end zone. But we're going to take it. We're going to take those all day.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the bad. Tay, we'll go back to you.
All right, I'm trying to see. I mean, in these games, I mean, you can pinpoint so many things. I mean, I would say one bad that I would say is that like we really couldn't get no momentum on offense. We couldn't get in the swing of things, and we was hurting ourselves with turnovers. Like that was the bad. We was killing ourselves with turnovers because we had the first turnover at the beginning of the game, like you stated that with DJ. It was. I don't even think nobody touched DJ. I think it was kind of adrenaline, like the being in that moment in that game. I don't even think he knew that he was going to fumble. I couldn't even couldn't see what caused that fumble. So just turnovers, and we just couldn't get in the groove on offense. I felt like if we had just like a spark on offense, that the offense would have it would have pushed the momentum, and momentum would have changed a lot. Because I mean, we did stop them on defense, so I would say the bad is just that the momentum on offense.
Yeah, looking at the drive chart, Tay, it's interesting. From our third drive in the first quarter until the last drive in the second to last drive in the second half, you have a 12-yard drive, a 4-yard drive, a 14-yard drive, and then finally, with a minute 48, we had a 31-yard drive that still ended in a punt, but we were able to move the ball a little bit. Offense lacked rhythm all night. Not that wasn't expected, but you would like to see 20 to 30-yard drives a little bit more sporadically than we were able to get. Grant, for you, the bad.
Yeah, I felt the same way, but I just couldn't move the ball. Playing here on YouTube, you had that 3rd and 18, that great screen pass that really set up a big game for Ian Cousin. Perfect call in that moment. You kind of had the phantom holding call on Chris Noble to kind of push that back, and then you lose yards on
block.
Yeah, then you lose yards on the next play, and then you have to punt. So, I mean, that was the second drive of the game. So that drive was moving. You were in the red zone. You're at least in position to get 3 points if you don't get that penalty right there. So you at least get some points on the board, get some positive momentum coming your way. But yeah, I think just the offense couldn't get anything going. And we talked about before we started recording, those screen passes and bubbles that Samford loves to run. Those are good for 6 or 7 yards in the FCS, but FBS, those 6 yards turned into 2 yards real quick because of that SEC speed we talk about. So you kind of get, once you can't get those easy yards, easy completions, you're like, oh shoot, we're stuck in a 3rd and 8. We're kind of limited to what we can do. So yeah, I think it's the offense just not being able to kind of push the ball down the field a little bit. They did have one big pass to Brendan in the second quarter, but still, other than that, just couldn't push the ball down the field.
Yeah, the pass to Brendan was great. It's one of the few times where there wasn't necessarily a safety directly over the top, right? Because in max protect, you're going to have 2-3 guys out there running routes. The odds of getting the ball anywhere past 10 yards are like slim to none. But in that opportunity, we had Brendan down the sideline, one-on-one with the corner, and we took advantage. And it was a great throw, great catch. One of the few opportunities, we couldn't just do that over and over and over. We couldn't spam it, so to speak. But yeah, there was, Grant, on that, I talked about the speed difference. We noted how effective Samford was coaching wise or scheming wise to get players in space, but that space evaporated instantaneously. There would be 10 yards sometimes between us and the next nearest defender, but then within half a second, they're right on us.
Yeah.
And we're not able to take advantage. But you look at that, you look at those opportunities, and then when we get to conference play, we're going to be able to take advantage. And that's going to be a 12-yard gain.
I was thinking that myself.
So that's something we could hang our hat on.
Yeah, a lot of the plays that was called like the bubble screens, like you said, Grant. A lot of those plays in the SoCo turned into probably a 20-yard gain, or even it's 15 to 20-yard gain with some of those screen passes that we run, and it's just that some of them turned into touchdowns also. So it's just because the guy, you playing a team like Florida, those corners and those linebackers can cover from sideline to sideline. Those are the guys that you see. A lot of those guys will be playing on Sundays for sure.
Yeah.
So a lot of those guys, if they don't make it on Sundays, they'll have a shot to play on Sundays. And the speed difference that they have, not that we don't have some guys on Samford football that's pretty fast. It's just those guys. Also, we have guys that are 5'11" that's fast. They got guys that are 6'3", that's just as fast or faster.
Yeah.
So a 6'3" guy that's compared to one of our 5'11" guys that get to the space a little bit quicker than he could. So it's just those guys that in those games in SEC, the size difference and the talent, like you'd be like, where do they go get some of these guys from? Do they just go make them in? Like if you look at some of them, like do they make them in the lab? And then I'm like, yeah, people say that about us, like. Y'all are actually pretty big yourself, but y'all just think y'all a lot. I'm not as big as I'm nowhere near as big as some of these guys. And it's
we need to stick to playing ACC teams. Is what we need.
ACC teams. Some of those guys don't be as like now. SEC is different. When I played Georgia, I'm telling you that Georgia offensive line has some first rounders on it. And I'm telling you right now, I knew which one was a first rounder because his first step was like 2 of my first steps. So I'm like, he's 6'7", 6'8", and he's moving just as I'm like, this dude is But I mean that's the difference.
We were like that is a distinct disadvantage, right, when we have these games. But I guess the bad out of that, and you could count it as ugly, there were probably, I don't know how many plays, but it felt like almost every play there was a free rusher coming in. It was either we just did not block them, we did not recognize them, and even though these guys are faster, bigger, stronger, you still got to get a body on them. Even if you whiff, we can't just have 3 guys who aren't even getting touched or attempted to get touched, blowing up the screen pass, blowing up the run. That was I think the bad that I saw. But ugly in this one may not pertain as much because there's just the expectations are much lower. Did y'all have an ugly?
I mean, if I could pinpoint an ugly, I would say a couple of the big explosive plays that we was giving up on defense. Those are we can't give up those plays. If you want to stay in these games, you got to be disciplined with your eyes. You got to know, all right. I mean, granted that DJ, he did a great job disguising a lot of the play actions. If I was playing, I probably thought some of them was runs, but it was a play action pass that was opened up to a deep ball over the top. I mean, it's just those, and you gotta give it to our guys. Who's playing like some of those situations, that corner was out there by itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just a 50-50 ball, and you just got a guy. Those, like you said, those guys are a lot faster. And we had some guys we got guys that can run that's on the perimeter as well. In some situations, they was in great situations. In some situations, they got 1 or 2 steps behind them. because they was looking to see if it was a run play. When in my opinion, when it comes to that, I'm not sure how they was planning on defense. If their coach was telling them, hey, eyes in the backfield to see what's going on, or eyes on your man. When in these games, eyes on your man. If your man's not slowing down and he's picking up speed as he get close to you, I think it's time for you to turn your hips and get the running as well. I can't say nothing about corner play. That's one thing that I would never do is talk bad about a corner, because I know for a fact, like I used to tell corners all the time, you want to say something about us, you get down here in the trenches and see what we do.
Yeah.
You wouldn't stand a chance. But if the corner can tell me the same thing, you get out here on the perimeter with a guy that's running. With a guy
I'm
that's
good,
running.
thanks.
That's what I'm saying. The guy that's
I'm good.
That's almost at full speed when you're still backpedaling. Like, come on, nah.
Yeah.
I salute those guys. Those guys have a hard job, but also our job. I'm a defensive lineman. Our job is still harder when it comes to the game. We gotta make contact, get off blocks. It's a lot. It's a lot to it. So I really would never downplay corner play. I'll just say that was the explosive plays that we gave up. It was pretty ugly. And that hurt us a lot. That contributed to DJ's 456 passing yards for sure. And 3 touchdowns. So
yes, it did. Fortunately, we're not going to be playing against a Mizell or a Eugene Wilson again for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
fortunately. But Grant, did you have an ugly?
No, just to build off of Tay's, Florida in the second half, their touchdown drives, 4 plays, 69 yards, 36-yard throw and catch for a touchdown. Second drive, 4 plays, 75 yards, lag away to Mizell for 41 yards. Field goal, and then Florida's next drive, 1 play, 85-yard touchdown. And then they score late at the end of the game. So, those explosive plays right there, especially after Samford got that touchdown by DeMonte to make it 28-7 with 5 minutes to go. And then Florida immediately scores right there in the third quarter to make it 28-7, literally right after you just got your first points of the day. So, I think I would point to those explosive plays that were given up, especially in the second half. Big reason why you mentioned DJ threw for 456. So,
what's up with the last-second touchdown by Florida?
I'm going to put it like this. That was just like a staple. That was just a moment of that head coach was like, all right, we're just going to keep running up. Because, if you look at it, you go into halftime, you only up 14 to FCS school.
Yeah.
You know what's going through your head. All right, my job's on the line. So, when that same thing happened to Dan Mullen the last time I was in the swamp. Dan Mullen retired from coaching football because of the second board off. Because we going into halftime, we're up. I can't even remember what we was up, but we was up going into halftime.
Yeah, 42-28 at halftime, I want to say.
You got 42 points put on your head at halftime. Your SEC school. Trending number one topic. You're trending on Twitter like, "Hey, this football team is in the swamp, up 42 points. Got 42 points on them." So my thing is that I know what that coach was like. All right, and I kind of knew going into this game. All right, they coming off of Miami loss. This team is going to at least try to just out-physical. Like, they're going to try to out-physical us for sure. If you look at the stats, their whole motive was to basically pound the rock, just run the ball down our throat. Yep. It really didn't work. They had, if you want to be honest, I don't even know if they had less rushing yards than West Georgia.
Our run defense on average, the average yards given up was better against Florida than
West
West
Georgia. So our run defense against Florida was a whole lot better than against West Georgia.
Oh yeah.
It's if you take away all of the explosive plays that DJ threw, the explosive passes, a few missed tackles here, we get we take away that, it's a different ball game. Florida's still in a dogfight right now, and we're waking up to the next morning. That coach. His family is moving, and it's just that's what happened in those games. That's what happened. Hey, somebody, you gotta feed the family in those games. And that last second touchdown, they gotta make it. All right, we're not gonna near the ball and just we're gonna score. So I mean, it was kind of in my opinion, the game is over with. You can go ahead and just kneel it out. And you got the game. Like, what are you?
It was a little bush league.
Yeah, and it looked like the quarterback. It looked like the quarterback did it on his own too, like normal third string guy, and he basically had to read, and the DN crashed. Basically, just walked in the end zone. So it could have been a little bit of that too, but yeah, still running plays.
But Napier's reaction, he was pumped, like
that's what I'm saying, like
in the air.
I didn't see that.
It's like you're almost like, what do you get from this? Is this toot your horn? All right, I want to see you do this the next few weeks when like UCF, Texas A&M.
The Aggies are rolling. And
like when you do the same thing. You call a run play with seconds left in the game, and you're getting momentum. That's not getting you no momentum. That's not giving you no confidence. You're playing FCS, and that's the same thing that was like fans were like trying to troll at us. We're walking through the swamp. Like, I mean, it is what it is. Like, what y'all talking about? Some throwing L's at us. Like, what are you getting from this?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we came down here. We'll take the loss and the money and the bus ride back home. Thank you for the paycheck. It just
There was that girl in that student section at the end of the game. Did like the L's at us. Like what are we doing?
Yeah, she kept. And then she kept.
They're taking that girl, what they can get.
And that girl asking us like the whole time. She's like, "What is your job? Like, what do you do? Like, do you have a job? Do you have a job?" I'm like, we went to Samford. We graduated from Samford. I'm pretty sure a lot of us have great jobs.
Yes,
so
we're employed, tax-paying Americans. Thank you.
Yeah, what's your major? What are you talking? What are you studying?
All right. Let's get to let's give out some accolades. You know, the boys showed out. We had some bright moments. Y'all got an offensive player of the game, Ted.
I'll say I go with. I'll give it to Spoon.
Yeah,
he had some nice moments.
Spoon has some. He has some nice runs. I mean, running the ball against an SEC opponent like that is pretty.
It was tough.
Intense. So he scored. He powered it in for a touchdown. The one touchdown that we did, he powered it. He put his head down and just drove it to the end zone with helmet taken off and everything.
Yeah,
against a big guy. So it's pretty good.
I like that, Grant.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing just because he scored the touchdown and found his way in with his head getting ripped off in the process. But yeah, I was going to go with DJ with DeMonte for the touchdown.
Yeah, I was going with Jenkins. That the catch, the throw, that was what you wanted to see. Something, right? We wanted to see some QC push the ball down the field, and we got it. It was a little. I mean, that's got to be a little feather in the cap for Brendan. Easily the best corner, best defense he's played against since, I guess, who did we play? Auburn last year. So great catch, great throw, great moment. Defensive player of the game. This was probably a little bit harder because the defense, for the most part, in the first half, gave us plenty to cheer about. So defensive player of the game, Tay.
I would say before Black got hurt. He was on path to becoming a defensive player.
Agreed. Do we know
he has some?
How extensive was he concussed? Like, do we know anything about that?
I mean, I think it was concussion because they said it was a crackback.
It looked like it.
Crackback block that was pretty illegal. So I would say he was on the cusp of he was going down to be probably the defensive player of the game, and it was just he had some explosive tackles. He had some physical tackles. He was making some plays. He was all over the ball. He was all over the game, and I would say he would have been my defense player of the game if he didn't go out.
I like that. Grant?
Yeah, I was going back and forth. Noah finished with 11 total tackles. CJ was 6. Dearman made a couple of nice plays when Florida was driving in the second half. But I still like CJ Douglas, man. Just the way he plays, like so physical. He's only a sophomore. It's only maybe his third career start. Two, so like just the way he plays, like how physical he is. He's definitely one of these guys. Like we talk about all the guys they add in the portal via the secondary. This is one guy, a true sophomore, been in the program for a year, who just keeps getting better and better. And also, it's a big plus too that he's a local guy too from local leads. So it's cool seeing those guys kind of step up and kind of grow up into these bigger roles. And he's just going to keep getting better and better throughout the year.
For sure. I went with Dante Pollard. It was great to see him have. I know the secondary got burnt a lot. I realize that, but he had a great game. He's one of those guys that we were talking about in the preseason. If somebody we need somebody in the secondary to step up, and if it can be Dante Pollard, let it be Dante Pollard. He had a great game this game, so kudos to him. So boys, obviously we were not expecting to win. The closest score prediction, I think Jeb was like a 20 something point loss, but we've talked about a few things a few bright spots, so to speak. And we talked about a few things that are concerning. So kind of going forward, as we head into just a full FCS slate with conference play 2 weeks away, what was something you gleaned from this game that you think we can build upon? Tay?
I would say the physicality in this game.
Okay.
That's something that we can take into going into the FCS play is just keep the physicality up. The physicality was pretty high. It was physical. It was and I know we're seeing the spurts of it in the first half defense. Those guys were all over the ball, flying around. Like they was we tackled pretty good. I would say we tackled pretty good unless we got when it was guys were getting on the perimeter. So I would say the physicality on both sides of the ball, we're being able to get the push in the goal line like that. We those guys were able to, so that physicality will be for sure something that we need to.
Huge difference from West Georgia. Huge.
Keep it up. Yeah. Just keep the physicality up, and we'll be a pretty good team when it comes to FCS play.
I agree. We were talking with some guys before the game, and there was kind of an opinion that if we played the West Georgia game at home, that we would have won by a couple of scores. And I'm kind of sitting there thinking, I'm not so sure about that. The team I watched play, I don't know if you could have played them in their own, house if we would have played any better. But then after the game, seeing what this team is capable of from a physicality standpoint, I'm like, okay, yeah, I think I can get on board with that opinion. Grant, how about you, man?
Yeah, I think it's going back to that first half defense, right? Only allowing 14 points. We talked about or heard all offseason about how attacking this defense is compared to what we saw last year with Coach Boone. So it's going to be cool to see their growth throughout the year, especially with the new DC, some new guys getting pieces gelling, seeing how they can grow from that first game. Then you got Alabama State coming up this week, who's going to have a backup quarterback. Their starters out for the year with an injury, so you can build some confidence there before you got a bye week to head to Furman for your first SoCon game. So I think it's at the defense, whether we can see if they'll continue to improve over the year. And the offense will score points once we get into more FCS teams, FCS play. It's just a matter of will the defense get enough stops and get off field, and can they play complementary football the rest of the way. So I think it's the defense's first half they had. That's definitely something they can build on moving forward.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned about the offensive output. I mean, we are a run Quincy style offense, and that is not going to work against Florida's defense. So wouldn't worry about that. The QC show will roll on and will shine bright in the next few weeks. We will catch everybody next week following the Alabama State hopefully win, first win of the season. Fingers crossed. Tay, Grant, the trip to Gainesville was fun, but let's try to get a dub. Let's try to get a dub.
I'll be there at the Alabama State game.
All right, let's go. I'll see you there. Let's go. Let's do it. Yeah.
All right. Well, until next week, State of the Bulldogs is out.